Welcome back to another episode of unbelievable history facts that weren't taught in school. If you're new here, we dive deep into the parts of history that are too strange, too shocking, or just too bizarre for the classroom. Most people think history is just a boring list of dates, names, and old battles. But the truth is, some of the most mind-blowing events in human history are completely left out of our textbooks. In today's video, I'm sharing part 2 of the history facts your school never taught you. And trust me, you'll want to watch until the very end, because the last fact is so unbelievable it sounds like it came straight out of a Hollywood thriller. Ready? Let's begin. Our first fact takes us to the battlefields of World War II. The United States once created a top-secret unit known as the Ghost Army. But this wasn't an army of soldiers with rifles and grenades. No, their weapons were illusions. They used inflatable tanks that looked real from the air, fake aircraft to create phony airfields, and massive loudspeakers that blasted the sounds of troop movements and construction for miles. They even used radio trickery to send out fake transmissions, completely misleading the enemy. Imagine being a German soldier, thinking you're facing a massive division of 30,000 American troops, only to find out it was all a carefully crafted deception. The Ghost Army was a masterpiece of military misdirection, saving countless lives by fooling enemies into thinking huge forces were present where there were only a handful of artists, designers, and sound engineers. They literally fought a war with creativity and imagination. Next, we traveled to London in 1952 for an event known as the Great Smog. For 5 terrifying days, a thick, yellow-black fog descended upon the city. But this wasn't just ordinary fog. It was a deadly mixture of smoke from coal fires, industrial pollutants, and weather conditions that trapped it all at street level. Visibility dropped to just a few feet. People couldn't see their own hands in front of their faces. Public transport stopped, and residents were told to stay indoors. But the toxic air seeped into their homes. It was so thick that even indoor events like concerts had to be canceled because the audience couldn't see the stage. Initially, people treated it as a typical London pea souper, but soon, hospitals were overwhelmed. The smog caused severe respiratory problems, and by the time it finally lifted, it was estimated that over 12,000 people had died as a direct result. This horrifying disaster was a wake-up call, forcing the British government to pass major clean air reforms that changed how the world thinks about pollution. Let's move on to something a little more refreshing. Fact number 3 is about one of the world's most famous drinks, Coca-Cola. When it was first invented in the late 1800s by a pharmacist named John Pemberton, the recipe was very different from what we drink today. The original formula famously contained an extract from the coca leaf. Yes, the very same plant that cocaine is derived from. It also contained cola nuts, which are a source of caffeine. The drink was initially marketed as a brain tonic and a patent medicine that could cure everything from headaches to fatigue. Of course, the amount of coca leaf extract was small, and the potentially psychoactive elements were largely removed by the early 1900s. As government regulations tightened and public awareness grew, the formula was changed dramatically to become the family-friendly soda we know today. But it's wild to think that one of the most iconic brands in the world started out with such controversial ingredients. Now for a story that sounds like a cartoon. Fact number 4. The time Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most feared military commanders in history, was attacked by rabbits. You heard that right. In 1807, after signing the treaties of Tilsit, Napoleon wanted to celebrate. He proposed a rabbit hunt and asked his chief of staff to arrange it. The chief of staff wanted to impress the emperor, so he didn't just find a few wild rabbits. He went out and bought hundreds, some say thousands, of tame, domesticated rabbits from local farmers and released them into a field. When Napoleon and his hunting party arrived, they expected the rabbits to scatter. Instead, the rabbits, being tame and used to being fed by humans, saw Napoleon and his men and thought it was dinner time. They swarmed towards the emperor, a fluffy, furry horde seeking food. They weren't scared at all. They hopped up his legs and into his coat. At first, it was amusing, but the sheer number of them became overwhelming. Napoleon's men tried to shoo them away with whips and sticks, but the rabbits kept coming. The great general, who had conquered most of Europe, was forced to retreat and scramble into the safety of his carriage, laughing at the complete absurdity of the situation. He was literally defeated by a bunny army. From fluffy bunnies to fierce conflict. Fact number 5 is about the war that started over a game. In 1969, tensions were already incredibly high between the neighboring countries of El Salvador and Honduras due to land disputes and immigration issues. The final straw came during a 3-game series of World Cup qualification matches between their national football teams. The matches were brutal. Riots broke out among fans, players were harassed, and the media in both countries fanned the flames of nationalism. After El Salvador won the final decisive match, diplomatic ties were severed. Just a few weeks later, the Salvadoran army launched an attack on Honduras. The conflict, which lasted for about 100 hours, is now known as the Football War or the 100-Hour War. Thousands of people lost their lives, and many more were displaced. It serves as a chilling reminder of how something as simple as a sports rivalry can ignite a real-world war when political tensions are already at a boiling point. Our next fact is one of the strangest and most tragic disasters in American history. It's called the Great Molasses Flood. In the north end of Boston, on a strangely warm January day in 1919, a massive storage tank stood over 50 feet tall and 90 feet wide. It held more than 2 million gallons of crude molasses, which was waiting to be distilled into industrial alcohol for munitions. Suddenly, residents heard a deep, rumbling sound, followed by what sounded like machine gun fire as the steel rivets shot out of the tank. The tank ruptured, unleashing a colossal wave of molasses, estimated to be 25 feet high at its peak, moving at 35 miles per hour. This wasn't a slow, sticky ooze. It was a destructive brown tsunami. The wave was so powerful it smashed buildings, buckled the elevated railway tracks, and swept horses, carts, and people off their feet. The thick, viscous liquid filled the streets, trapping victims and making rescue efforts incredibly difficult. By the time it was over, 21 people were dead and over 150 were injured. It took weeks to clean up the mess, and residents claimed that on hot summer days, the scent of molasses lingered in the neighborhood for decades. And now, for the final fact, the one that could have changed the world as we know it. We're going to 1983, to the height of the Cold War. Deep in a secret bunker near Moscow, a Soviet Air Defense Forces officer named Stanislav Petrov was on duty. His job was to monitor the satellite early warning system for any signs of a nuclear attack from the United States. Suddenly, the alarms blared. The system reported that 1, then 2, then 5 American nuclear missiles were heading toward the Soviet Union. According to protocol, Petrov was supposed to immediately report the launch to his superiors, which would have almost certainly triggered a massive, retaliatory nuclear strike from the Soviet Union, starting World War III. But something felt wrong. The system was new, and he had been told it was not entirely reliable. He also knew that a first strike from the U.S. would likely involve hundreds of missiles, not just 5. It seemed more like a system malfunction. Against all orders and under immense pressure, Petrov made a gut decision. He reported it as a false alarm. He was right. It was later discovered that the satellites had mistaken the reflection of sunlight off high-altitude clouds for missile launches. Stanislav Petrov's calm thinking and refusal to follow protocol in that moment may have single-handedly saved the world from nuclear annihilation. He became known as the man who saved the world. And there you have it. 7 unbelievable stories that prove history is anything but boring. From ghost armies and rabid attacks to a flood of molasses and one man preventing nuclear war, the past is full of tales that sound more like movies than reality. So, which fact shocked you the most? Let me know by commenting the number below. I love reading your reactions. And if you enjoyed this and want a part 3, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have so many more unbelievable history facts coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.